Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. And today I would like to share with you my review of the third-party Barbatos Lupus Rex model kit by Wolf Technology. I know, this is yet another Barbatos build from me in 2026. And to be honest with you, I am as surprised as you are. Honestly, I thought this would be the year of the new Gundam, but hey, so far, this is the year of Barbatos. And before we dive into the review, a quick message about the store that helped me acquire this kit at a very good price. I buy almost all of my figures and third-party kits at Gundam.com. They offer great prices, awesome customer service, and a nice points program. If you decide to shop for your next kit or figure there and would like to support this channel even more, consider using reviewer code SKH. It helps the channel a lot. As always, do your own research and only purchase from stores that you are comfortable with. Now, back to the video. So, Wolf Technology Wolf Model 1100 Scale Model Kit, or how I decided to call mine, Barbatos Lupus Flex. Overall, this kit is a pretty good building experience and a very decent quality model kit. In terms of design, it happens to be quite similar to the 160 scale King Barbatos Log R that I recently reviewed on the channel. Link in the description and make sure to check it out once you're done with this video. This kit comes in a single, nicely styled box that measures about 17.5 by 12 by 6 inches with all 34 runners packed in a number of plastic bags. In my copy at least, I did not observe any plastic or runner damage from shipping, although the box itself looked like it was kicked at least once during transit. In addition to the main runners, we get an action-based articulated neck and a thin black wire for the stinger, and 2 sheets of decals, 1 thin sheet of foil stickers and an average size sheet of water decals. Upon closer inspection, the plastic quality in my copy of the kit appeared to be pretty decent. The maker did go for a darker colored white and gray plastic tones when compared to 160 Log R, but I think that choice did not hurt the overall aesthetic. White plastic and gray plastic has very subtle texture, and so it looks almost flat out of the box, and the colored plastic parts had no paint swirls or scuffs. I think the few red accent parts maybe are a little too washed out, almost sunburned, at least in person, and so are the yellow ones, but this observation might not come through as well on the video. I also noticed very subtle print lines on a few white parts here and there, but honestly I could not even capture that using a macro lens. And this wasn't anything as egregious as the 160 scale King Barbatos printing issues, so I personally would not worry about it. Also of note is that this kit comes with a fully pre-built inner frame. It is built to the point of having all major joints and even pistons pre-assembled, and you will need to take apart some of it actually during the assembly process. Also, in this particular take on the Barbatos Lupus Rex, the maker went with metal rods for the pistons on the inner frame, which is a major win in my book. Not only these pistons look a million times better, but they are also much easier to work with when you pose the kit. The manual for this kit also surprised me in a positive way. My expectations were honestly quite low for a new maker, and especially after the 160 scale King Barbatos build that had a pretty nasty guide, but Wolf Technology did a very good job with this one. Each build section is printed in color, indicates which runners are needed per stage, and individual steps are depicted very clearly, and the decal guide at the end of the booklet was super easy to follow and well organized. The building process was pretty straightforward, however I did encounter a few occasions where a peg needed to be thinned or shortened, mostly when attaching armor to the metal inner frame parts. In this instance, it was not a thing that I would warn about really, those were very few and easy to fix. Although, for the front and back waist armor attachments, I would recommend having some blue tack or alternative solution on hand to help it stay in place, but more on that in a minute. The overall assembly process for this kit is pretty short. Since you have all of the inner frame pre-assembled, you mostly add the armor and key accessories in the process. So let's go hands-on with the kit and check its articulation. Starting with the feet, we get a very nice side-to-side swivel action, and the front foot is independent from the heels. The lower front leg armor flap can be lifted to create some extra room for front to back ankle articulation, and the foot can move up at the front quite a bit, which allows us also to see one of the shiny metal pistons in action. One nice add-on on both heels is this metal rod that can manually retract. Going up to the lower leg, there aren't many parts that can move around except for the back flap. In the meantime, the knee assembly has these two side armors which are mounted on pegs and can rotate freely. However, they are not connected to the knee joint. And speaking of knees, the lower armor flap needs to be moved out of the way, but once we move it out, we get just about 90-degree bend at the knees. The joint is quite tight, but smooth. There is unfortunately no armor connect to the thighs, and those are quite monolithic. But instead of armor gimmicks, we get a very good range of motion at the thighs. They can of course rotate at the peg and swivel to a full split or 90 degrees front to back. The waist armor is sized pretty well and it fits with the rest of the kit, yet does not interfere with the legs articulation. This is also when you might need some blue tack for the front and back waist center pieces. As you can see on the video, I'm having to constantly apply pressure to the front center piece, or it can easily fall off once you start articulating the front side armor skirts, that are by the way mounted on ball joints. The side skirts are mounted independently on articulated pegs, and I had zero issues with them. And the back skirts are similarly connected at the back center waist armor piece, but can only flip up and down. You can also see the main action base attachment peg right here. It is a very beefy mount and connects to the metal gooch of the kit. Giggity. Now, going up to the torso, we get a moderate abdominal crunch range. Not quite as much as we had with 160 Logger, but at least when you bend this kit forwards, it does not pop its own back pistons. The torso can rotate pretty much all the way around due to the IBO inner frames design, and in this particular kit we can also lean it side to side, which engages both front joints. And in this particular kit we also get a nice side-to-side lean that engages both front pistons. I believe the cockpit is supposed to open as well, but I honestly couldn't remember how exactly and I did not want to force it. There is no pilot figure, so you aren't missing anything really. Moving on to the arms and shoulders, the latter have a little bit of a swivel, and the arms overall are quite tight thanks to the metal inner frame and POM plastic joints. There is some rotation at the bicep and a pretty decent elbow bend. Although you can see the wires running on mine, they do not interfere with the rest of the elbow joint and the piston. There are no armor gimmicks or extra articulation points at the forearms. The wrists mount on a peg, and more on those shortly. Let's go up to the head unit real quick. It is mounted on a stiff neck, atop of a ball joint, and can rotate somewhat freely. The backpack is firmly mounted to the back of the kit via two separate pegs. In my case, the lower back area hides the wire nest of the custom LED solution, and the backpack covers it from another other side. Check out my separate LED mod video if you would like to see the details of this particular customization. Link is once again in the description. And more on the backpack, while it doesn't have many gimmicks, it has this center stinger attachment slot which rotates and has this itty-bitty armor flap right under it. And by the way, the side parts of the backpack can be replaced if you don't want to mount the swords there. Overall, the main body articulation is very good and there is very little armor interference. I once again want to point out the metal pistons, as those are very easy to work with and look superb. And on top of that, the pre-built metal inner frame tubes are a very nice touch. I mean, these electric-like looking inner tubes, those are usually rubber and red like on the 160 log are. But here they are made of solid metal, a major dub by Wolftech. Now to quickly cover the accessories. First, the underslung launchers. These were a nice surprise for me with a lot more detail than I anticipated. I actually used them in some poses, and these also use the only silver-plated parts in this entire kit. Then the main set of hands are these bad boys with articulated fingers. Let me tell you, while these were okay to assemble, they were a pain in the ass to work with when posing. The fingers cannot form a fist because of talons, and the only way you can attach an accessory is via these interconnecting pegs. Be extra careful with them. Out of the box they will seem too thick for the slots that they are supposed to go into, but don't rush to thin them. If you do, they won't be able to hold the mace accessory, unfortunately. But if you do not thin them, they can't flip out of the way neatly, so you gotta choose one of the two evils. Anyhow, the stinger is done pretty well on this kit, although I probably still prefer the design of the 160 scale Logar. Then we have the two sabers. Easy construction, and the gate marks weren't too bad. Then the underslung blades. They are part underslung launchers and part mace blades. But solid construction, and that forearm attachment slot is doing pretty well as well, so no issue attaching them. Then another set of hands, the red flaming ones. These use the same type of peg as the main set of hands, but the ball may require a little bit of force to pop in. The back flames are actually individual keyed effect parts, made of soft plastic. I think I might return to this kit in future to add some red flaming LEDs to these hands. And almost last but not least is the mace. The design of this mace is very similar to the 160 Logar. The blades have some very nice part separation, but no extension gimmick. And unlike the King Barbatos, this mace has a plastic shaft that struggles badly from the floppy shaft syndrome. Giggity. You can see the shaft starts to bend when you hold it in the middle, and forget about trying to swing it. Freaking noodle. Seriously, they need some blue pills. But I should probably stop with that before this video gets demonetized. Lastly, the action base. This kit comes with a phenomenal action base. I have come across these articulated necks on some figures before, but never on a mecha model kit, and the Wolftech did a banging job with this one. Both the base plate and the crotch slot parts bolt to the neck, which in turn is stiff enough to support the weight of this kit. And because you can bend it around freely, posing is a freaking joy. Another dub for Wolftech. Now before we dive into the overall impressions, let's quickly cover the work done to this kit beyond the out-of-the-box assembly. First, I panel lined the entire kit with steady water-based panel liners, dark gray on white and gray, and black on blue, yellow, red inner frame and the metal inner tubes. Then I also painted some of the inner frame parts and thrusters with gallery markers, dark iron on inner frame and aluminum on thrusters and the forearms inner tubes. I used all of the included water decals with the help of Mr. Mark Setter and Softer. And lastly, I added a number of custom LEDs, 2 on each arm, 1 in the head, 1 in each of the 2 rear waist skirts, and 2 in the backpack. If you are interested in the mod, please check the dedicated video linked in the description. I also briefly considered adding LEDs to the knees, but after a quick test I decided against it, as those parts are simply too shallow. And I also panel lined and partially painted all of the accessories with markers, just to give that gray plastic a little bit of a pop. So overall impressions. Let's split them into the good, the bad and the ugly. The good. The plastic quality on this kit is darn good and the prints are crisp and easy to work with. The design of the Wolf Technology Barbatos Lupus Flex is spectacular. While this kit maintains the overall aesthetics of the Barbatos Lupus Rex, it has considerably more part separation and surface detail when compared to 1/60 scale Logar. The inner frame of this kit is done very well, and the metal pistons are a very nice touch that makes them actually easy to work with. While I have no issue with plastic pistons on their own, it's when you combine the stiffness of the metal inner frame joints with plastic pistols, that's when it gets easy to damage those pistons when posing the kit. I really appreciate the maker putting some effort into the underslung launchers. They seem to be a proper accessory here that you would actually want to use for some poses. And the action base. I really appreciate the matte, understated mechanical surface texture and the solid articulated neck. Simple yet very effective. Now on to the bad. The hands are freaking pain. While it is cool to have a set of articulated hands, I think 1/60 scale King Barbatos did a much better job of providing us with an alternate set of rubber hands designed for accessory handling. More on the hands, because we only have a single set of functional hands, we have to use these interlocking pegs for accessory attachment. They are also a pain to work with. The effect parts for the eyes. While I appreciate the addition of transparent eye parts, I think they either should have added alternate color part options or simply made the eye part red. You can see that the included bluish part can't really pipe red LED lights at all, so you have to go with either blue or green, and if you do, that won't blend perfectly with the outer flame effect parts, which are pink-red. There are some unfortunate gate placements as well on this kit, like these on the backpack. Unless you feel level and paint over those, I don't know how else they can be covered up. The front and back center waist armor assemblies also need to have a better attachment to the metal inner frame. I believe the front is attached only on like 2 or 3 thin pegs, and the back is pretty loose as well. You will need to reinforce them with something like blue tack, at least. And the mace. While the design and the part separation is good, it would have been nice to see a transformation gimmick like we did with the MGSD Barbatos. Now onto the ugly. This is where I place the other issue with the mace, the floppy shaft syndrome. While other things like the difficult hand attachment options or lack of hand and eye options overall can sort of be tolerated and worked around, this particular issue can only be fixed by pretty much entirely replacing and customizing this part. Even when I attach the mace to the only hand holding spot and try to pose it, you can see the shaft has a little bit of a bend already. So I had to lean it slightly against the knee armor, and I believe this is the only major issue with this kit. So, some final words about Barbatos Lupus Flex. I really enjoyed working on this kit and then filming the review. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed it so much that I chose to do all that custom LED work to it. If you go for a normal out-of-the-box build, you will have a very nice looking master grade scale Barbatos Lupus Rex in your collection. In terms of value, looking at the price of this kit at the time of review, around 73 freedom bucks, it is also a very good value, as it is a complete package. I cannot, however, say that this is a perfect kit. The floppy shaft mace issue is simply a major warning for this kit. If you rightfully expect to pose your Barbatos Lupus Flex swinging its giant mace, it is an issue that you will have to primarily contend with, and it might limit your pose options, so please beware. And if you decide to get Wolf Technology Wolf model, check out Gundammit and don't forget to use reviewer code SKH. It really supports the channel more than you can imagine. And that is about it. I hope that you enjoyed this review. Be sure to drop a like if you like this video, and a comment if you really do. Subscribe for more cool content like this, and I live stream every Saturday, so hop on over and hang out. Also, all of my gear and tools are listed in the description of all of my videos. Some of the links are affiliates and some give you nice discounts. And every time you use them, you help me make more and even cooler videos. I also recently started a Facebook community page where I post high-res pictures of my builds and various other community updates. Check out the link in the description and join it. I would love to see you all share your builds out there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.